Hi, I'm Donna Giroux, the Executive Director at CATV, and with me today is Bill Sullivan, the President of OSHER at Dartmouth. Hi, Bill. Thanks for coming.
Good morning, Donna. Thank you for having me.
Great. I really appreciate your time because we haven't actually done an episode of A Closer Look in the last couple of months because we've been busy moving our offices. You could see behind me sort of an unfinished, filled with props space, but we're working on getting our home in order so that we could have people into the studio. So, Bill, OSHER has not sort of stopped over the pandemic. You guys are amazing. And I know that you, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but for those who don't know about OSHER at Dartmouth, I thought that you could talk about what it is and your relationship with the Dartmouth community.
Well, the idea for OSHER really came out of Dartmouth itself in 1990. And there was a senior individual at Dartmouth then who thought that there was a very serious need for lifelong learning for everybody, and particularly for people who had recently retired and are kind of wondering what they were going to do with themselves. And he got together with a small group of people. About 38 of them got collected in the Upper Valley. And laid down the foundations for what became the Institute for Lifelong Education at Dartmouth. We called it ILIAD at that time. It's now known as OSHER for a variety of reasons that we can get into if you wish. But the whole emphasis is on lifelong learning. And our instructors, if you will, although we call them study leaders at OSHER, are retired individuals from just about any profession you would care to name. And they bring with them, of course, the deep knowledge of that profession, which allows them to teach courses about that. For example, myself, my background was in the U.S. government. I was in the intelligence community, and I teach a course on United States intelligence from George Washington to the present day. And other people from other professions, whether it be medicine, physics, academics, or whatever, do the same thing. And it has caught on amazingly well in the Upper Valley. Last year, our membership was about 1,500, almost 1,600 people taking our courses. And we have about 200 people who actually present courses, people we call study leaders.
Let me
you name the subject matter, and we teach it.
That's very impressive. When I look at your winter catalog, which is out now, and I look at the study leaders, the depth of their understanding and their topics just blows my mind. Seriously, like I thought maybe I could teach a course, and then I see that everyone has their PhD and their
Oh, no, that's not actually true. We're not all with PhDs. I had simply a bachelor's degree. I did further study, but you don't have to have a college education to teach.
Oh, really?
Because we have people who are teaching cooking, who are teaching gardening, who are teaching just about any subject you might imagine. And it spans the demographics of our population in the Upper Valley. You do not have to have a degree.
Good. But, when I look through the catalog, you got to admit there's some people with some serious experience as studies.
There are indeed.
Okay. That's great. And the topics are so varied. I thought it was interesting. There's some things that are eternal topics and poetry, history, these sort of topics. And there's some that, are right on the mark on social unrest right now, sort of an anti-bias topic, a police and community relations topic. So it's a very compelling catalog that you have put together. Is it an individual person or a group of people come up with curriculum?
We have a special committee called the Curriculum Committee, which has the responsibility for putting all of our courses together, attracting study leaders, and they go out broadly into the population to attract study leaders, people who want to teach a particular thing. And then they put all that together. They will come up with a huge list of courses for the 3 semesters or terms we have each year. And they will vet each course to make sure that it meets our standards and whatnot. And that whole process takes really almost a year of hard work on a group of about 15 people doing that. And it has just worked out amazingly well over the years. I was a member of that committee early on in my membership in Dartmouth, and I thought it was just fantastic. And I did tap a number of people on the shoulder and say, you know, gee, you've got this experience. That's of interest to a lot of people. Would you be willing to lead a course at OSHER? And surprisingly, I'd say better than 50% say yes.
That's great. That's great. So if I were listening to what you just said and was interested in volunteering at OSHER in any capacity, would they contact Lisa King, the director at OSHER?
Yes, Lisa King, who is our program manager and who has been with the program for 25 years now, would be the person to contact initially, and then she would put you in contact with the curriculum committee. That's
great. That's great. And for those who, well, before we go into more curriculum, I'm curious. So you've had this long relationship with Dartmouth, but Dartmouth has been doing so much renovation. You've moved. Can you tell us about, are you going to stay where you are now? Are you going back to Dartmouth? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, we had been having most of our classes at the Dartmouth Outing Club at Oakland Pond on the Dartmouth campus. But then that was due for renovation. Serious renovation was required. And so we had to look for another spot. And we found out that in Lebanon at 1 Court Street, where the office of the upper, what was it called, the publishing company basically for Dartmouth and other colleges in the Northeast, had moved out. And we arranged to have that space renovated. We paid for it ourselves. And we were all ready to move in there when the pandemic hit. We have 4 classrooms there, and all of our offices are there. Well, we have a staff of 4 people supporting us. Lisa is the head of that staff. And we can accommodate, per class session with those 4 classrooms, approximately 100 students at a time. And that will build up to about 15 or 1,600 for the entire week. We teach 5 days a week. But the pandemic stopped all that. And we had to quickly shift.
So you're physically there, though. That's your office.
That is our office, yes.
1 Court Street, above 3 Tomatoes?
Above 3 Tomatoes.
Okay, so people know the restaurant. Yeah. So right there in the center of town. Yeah. So are you intending or just hopeful that come next fall you'll be able to, if there's a vaccination, by next fall you'll be back in there?
Yeah, I am hopeful we will be back to full-time in-person classes in the fall, not before then, but in the fall. We will simultaneously continue with Zoom, presenting our courses via Zoom. We're going to do both now. It's now become a new business model for us.
Great, because there are people who aren't able to drive in the winter or late in the afternoon, so that's great.
One thing we have discovered in presenting the Zoom courses, and we had to suddenly move into something we didn't know very much about, but it really turned out okay. We have, for example, about 61 courses we've been presenting this fall via Zoom. And interestingly, we were contacted by people from 20 different US states asking if they could take our courses, and 3 foreign countries. Canada, which makes sense, it's right next door, France, and the United Arab Emirates and the Persian Gulf. We have a person taking our courses from there. So when we do get back to in-person courses, we're going to do Zoom simultaneously because it expands our geographic reach.
It does, and it becomes ADA compliant. It's really nice if you're handicapped to be able to, it's actually broadened the world for people who are handicapped, so they have more accessible to them now.
Yeah. And if you're going to travel, you can take your course with you. You don't have to miss a class. If you happen to be sick at home, you can take your course from home.
Are you recording those courses, or we obviously are very sensitive to digital management. It can really become a plethora of show files or course files. So I was wondering, are you recording those?
We do record them. Of course, that has to be with permission of the study leader, the teacher, and the people in the course, but everybody is agreeing. Yes, we do record those.
So if somebody misses the course, they have access to it?
They do, yes.
Great. That is super. Yeah, we're all about accessibility. So this is making us very happy. So how else to make sure that OSHER survives this pandemic? Although you have members who are paying dues and course fees, I imagine, is there any other way that you get any funding to keep things going?
Yes. Dartmouth was approached by the OSHER Foundation, which supports 124 different lifelong learning adventures throughout colleges and universities in the United States. And Dartmouth decided they would like to join that because what the OSHER Foundation does is it gives the college an endowment and allows the college to use the earnings from that endowment to help support a lifelong learning program. And that is exactly what we have right now. That fortunately is very fortunate for times like this with this pandemic, which does reduce our revenues because not everybody switches over to Zoom. But that provides us with slightly less than 25% of our operating costs for the year, that endowment. Dartmouth manages all that. We are dependent upon a number of Dartmouth services, financial services and so forth. The remaining slightly more than 75% of our operating expenses come from the membership fees, which are $70 a year per person, and our course fees, which range from about $45 to $85 a course, depending upon the length of the course. And generally, our courses go from 2 weeks in length to 8 weeks in length, 2 hours each course session. So the number of courses that I've taught are 16 hours. And that requires a lot of preparation, believe me. So this is a program of dedicated people who love what they're doing and love taking the courses that the other members offer.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So it's great. There's some support, but as you say, so if anyone's interested in watching this and interested in possibly looking at the winter catalog and taking a course, I don't think it's started yet. Did it? Your session start?
No, it won't actually start until just slightly after January. But signing up for courses, that you mentioned are in that catalog, starts this coming Monday, November 23rd.
Okay, so this will probably be airing by the time time it started. So I know that you sometimes you're at capacity for a course very quickly. So it would be a good idea for people to take a look right away if they're interested.
Except Zoom really gives you a lot more seats, if you will.
Oh, that's true. It depends on your subscription.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
The course list will appear as an insert in the Valley News. So everybody will have access to that course list who takes the Valley News or gets it at the newsstand.
Great. And you're supporting the Valley News because I know things are a little rough during the pandemic. So this is exciting. I really encourage anyone to look at their catalog. I was very impressed. Being a full-time working person, I frequently say, oh, I wish I had some time to take that course. I was introduced to OSHER through the remarkable, and I cannot stress that enough, remarkable summer lecture series that you have hosted each summer. It really is remarkable. You have both domestic and international, world-renowned experts in their field talking about both domestic and international issues. and they're usually really hot issues.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have, if people want to go back and look at some of these lectures, they're actually at CATV's video on demand system. So you can enjoy the quality of the work and the issues that OSHER has brought to us. So what are you doing this summer?
Well, we're kind of continuing what we had planned to do last year when the pandemic hit us. And we decided to deal at that time, and it just turned out it's just as valid this year, with a number of domestic issues that relate to our political systems, our division, issues such as social and economic inequality. That's what we're going to focus on. They're really principally all domestic issues of real concern to the nation at large. And we will do that via Zoom this summer. Because we do not believe that everybody will be vaccinated in time in order to allow us to do it in the Spalding Auditorium, which is where we usually did it at Dartmouth. So we've actually recruited a number of speakers last year willing to do it. A number of them have said they'd be glad to do it this year via Zoom. And some of these are, internationally and domestically known experts in each one of these subject areas that we are going to address.
They're always engaging. I have yet to see one of these lectures that isn't just have you on the edge of your seat. They're so interesting. Mm-hmm. So I'm thrilled to see that you guys are coordinating that. And is this something, I mean, these have got to cost you a lot of money to put out. So is the cost to attend the lectures much more expensive than the classes, I assume?
In total, it would be perhaps more expensive than a class, because we usually offer 6 or 7 lectures every summer as part of this series. There's one fee structure for our own membership, of course, and then there's another fee structure for those who are not members but who wish to attend. And actually, it's pretty reasonable when you come right down to it. We have not yet established the fee for doing it this summer by Zoom, but we're working on that. The cost of doing it was considerable. There is no doubt about it. It'll obviously going to be cheaper using Zoom, but still costly.
You still have your speakers you have to pay, I imagine.
Yeah.
And since they're so world class, I'm sure they demand a certain level of payment. I'm just thrilled that you're continuing it. I think it's important for the community to hear what's said. If it wasn't for OSHER, there's a lot of information that wouldn't trickle down to us. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
So is there anything else you wanted to talk about that maybe we haven't touched upon?
We have a goal of expanding our membership in the Upper Valley area itself. And actually moving to Lebanon kind of helps that a bit, because now we can reach farther south than we've been able before. I'd like to see our membership get up to about 2,000 in terms of the Upper Valley area. But actually, we're going to go beyond that, because we're going to continue Zoom. And as I had mentioned earlier, we already have people from 20 different states taking our courses now. So we would like to expand, because we feel we're providing a very valuable educational experience for everybody. Because as you've seen in the catalog, you name your subject and we can teach it. And as I say, it goes everything from cooking and gardening to quantum mechanics. And we actually teach a course in curling, So we teach you from curling to quantum mechanics. What would you like to take?
Curling sounds interesting, because they now have an Upper Valley curling club. So
right, yes.
I'm not sure whether I can stretch that deeply, but something definitely worth. I am so thrilled to see that you want to expand your membership. That's great. So if you want to throw CATV a bone once in a while and provide us with a class, people who aren't members could get a little taste of what it is that the quality of the education that you guys are putting out. So that's
a very interesting idea. Yes. Let me talk to Lisa about that. And I'm sure she would like to see that happen as well.
I know we have filmed a couple of, each season, you usually give us permission to film 1 or 2 of the classes, which we appreciate because we're all about community accessibility.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Bill, keep up the good work. You guys are doing great. Say hi to Lisa and the rest of your team. Here at CATV, you have a crew of people who are rooting for you.
Thank you for having us today. And I just want to tell you, everybody involved in our courses loves it.
Good, good. All right. And thank you for watching, viewers. And if you have an organization that you would like to have profiled on A Closer Look, just drop us a line, info@catv8.org. Please, if you'd like to sign up for our new shows highlight newsletter, we send it to your email address and we highlight some of the more interesting shows. And we'd love to have you as part of our family. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye now.